I would say after COVID, the next mass epidemic is this intense digital addiction. You are working and working and working because you do not have the means to face your own emotions, the means to face your own thoughts. You wake up in the morning and you just start scrolling. You are not giving your brain a chance to do multiple things. You are not giving your brain a chance to be creative.
So physical sort of impairment is also seen now because of this.
Absolutely. It's like with cocaine, you can do cocaine. But with digital addiction, you can do Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, WhatsApp all at once.
Hello, welcome to the Samarpan podcast. My name is Raksha. I'm a clinical psychologist working at Samarpan. And today we have someone really interesting, someone's work I have been truly following through the last few years, Dr. Sagar Mundada. He is the leading psychiatrist in Mumbai. Actually, before I go ahead, I would like for you to introduce yourself for our audience who's watching.
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Sagar Mundada and thank you so much for having me on this podcast. Very happy to be here. And yes, I've been working in the mental health field for the last few years now. And I love doing this kind of stuff. So even in my day-to-day practice, every day I take out some time to create some reels or use social media, or I'm in touch with a lot of media people. So I do whatever I can to kind of make the message of creating more and more mental health awareness my mission. I love that along with my practice. I also work with a lot of corporates. I work with schools, colleges. So yeah, I am a psychiatrist, and generally when people think of a psychiatrist, they think of a shrink who's sitting in their office and writing some pills. So of course I do that. But along with that, I also make it a point that I am very actively involved in some or the other awareness module or scheme. I am actively involved in taking some sessions. I am actively involved in creating content related to mental health. And that really gives me a big fillip and keeps my own mental health, afloat. My own mental health really thrives on doing these kind of things. So this is one way of enriching my own mental health, me coming here.
Thank you so much for accepting the invitation so gracefully from us. I have seen a lot of your mental health advocacy bit, even with say news articles or even being extremely involved. I think with the digital age, it has also become a lot more accessible to people. For us to even do this, I think few years back, I didn't think that this would have been possible for us to talk on, say, YouTube as a platform to also talk about mental health like this.
Absolutely. I think it is a blessing. It is an absolute blessing that today we can talk about mental health and we can send our message wherever we want at the click of a button, whether it is YouTube, whether it is Instagram, whether it is any portal. Just before COVID, when I see the difference in 5 years, just before COVID, when I had started my practice, that time it was whatever mental health advocacy even I did or many people who did it, we were somewhat dependent on the mainstream media. Now, thankfully, I had a good network in the mainstream media, so I could kind of leverage that and push this theme wherein we are discussing depression, wherein we are discussing anxiety, wherein we are discussing ADHD, we are discussing addiction. But that time it was very far-fetched. And what we had started was something that was not part of mainstream media, because many of my media friends, they were like, oh, this is also there, that is also there. So this is just 6-7 years back. Today, on the other hand, the scheme of things is very different. Today, somewhere we also have an excess of it. So when we are talking of mental health advocacy, people who are not trained or not supposed to do mental health advocacy, they are not trained to talk about specific technical things, are also talking about it as if they are the experts in it, they have learned in it. So that is also something that has happened too much now, as in who are mental health influencers. You have to, it's good to be a mental health advocate, but being a mental health influencer while you yourself do not know the technicalities of it, the principles of basic psychology, basic how mental health works, that is something that has increased a lot. But I would say it is still a blessing, because today any psychologist, any psychiatrist, any psychotherapist who wants to specifically talk about certain things has got the world is on their on their fingerprints. It is so easily available, and that has no doubt. I don't have even a single iota of doubt that has really helped increase the overall awareness in the population and increase the number of people seeking help. I had read a study somewhere 5-6 years back that if 10 people in India are having mental health issues, 2 are seeking help. This is 5-6 years back.
Okay.
I'm sure it has increased to at least 40 to 50%.
I absolutely agree.
So that I think social media and active awareness on social media digitally is the number one reason that we can credit for that.
Yes. I also think, actually, I have two questions on my mind as since you were speaking about pre-COVID and post-COVID and you having that sort of a network of, say, media to leverage mental health advocacy. How do you think media personnel have also sort of changed their attitude towards covering mental health stories?
It's not changed a lot. Now, some people are very sensitive, some people are not very sensitive. It
Okay.
is dependent upon that individual, that network. So I wouldn't say that everybody is suddenly become very, very, very sensitive all of a sudden. But yes, specifically if we see how suicide was reported few years back, it used to be reported in a very sensational way. Today that sensationalism has been toned down. Today there is much more of maturity when you are talking about suicide, when you're talking of suicidal ideation, when you're talking of somebody going through that. It is not just a headline anymore. People, even the media people, and I know many of them, they are trying to kind of decipher why this happened, why it happened in that specific individual, what could have led to it. Is there something that they can do from their end, a very, very tiny bit, to kind of decode that for somebody who might be having a issue, how they can seek help? Yes, media has matured regarding that aspect, but it doesn't apply to the entire media, but does apply to significant part of the media. Reporting about mental health issues has become more sensitive. Reporting about mental health issues has become more mainstream. It's not just when a fringe incident happens, or it's not just when somebody famous has a problem. Like it used to be 10 years back, only when somebody famous has a problem,
Absolutely.
media used to be all over them, and it used to be in a way that the coverage used to be stigmatized.
Yes. And
Now the coverage is not stigmatized. Now you had Alia Bhatt, who's recently talked about ADHD. Deepika Padukone, since 7 years, she's been talking about depression, anxiety. You have Virat Kohli also said something. So basically, very, very prominent figures over the last Karan Johar is talking about body dysmorphic disorder. So over the last 3 to 4 years, 5 years, you have had very, very, very famous celebrity kind of personnel talk about what issues they've had, and it's been taken in the right way. It's been amplified in the right way by the media also. So we must give credit to media also.
Absolutely. I think along with the general public, of course, media personnel also come in that general public. As and when general public are getting aware, media personnel are also getting aware together of how to actually report it. Recently, I've also been seeing in news articles, even in digital news articles also, like the articles that you read online, they always make it a point to write one sentence called, if you're feeling suicidal or if there are mental health struggles, please call this helpline, and they put. Initially, I don't think that used to happen, like,
See, it used
like
to
6,
happen
7
in the
years
print
back.
media.
Print media, yes.
Absolutely,
maybe,
it used to happen even back then. They used to give some helplines. Digital medium, perhaps this is new. I never paid attention to it, but perhaps what you're saying, that sensitization absolutely is more. They are looking at it as if it is a problem now. Like majority of the population, even before COVID, it's a good starting date. Pre-COVID, post-COVID. So before COVID, it used to be taken with a lot of taboo. But what happened in COVID was that people who had underlying mental health issues, people who had issues which were brewing under the surface, all of them came up.
Yeah, I
all
think
of
it
them
shot
kind
up.
of like a volcano, they erupted because of the uncertainty, because of the isolation.
Life changed.
Life changed. No, but most importantly, what changed was that people initially who had mental health issues which were not very high, they were able to distract themselves into not taking help, or distract themselves into not feeling that problematic.
And I think life
That
also
didn't happen.
sort of slowed down for them to actually notice. Everyone was in this place where distractions were less. You can't get out of the house.
Absolutely.
You have to take care of yourself physically, and then slowly you started paying so much attention to what was happening with you that I think something happened, something very pragmatically shifted for people.
I don't know about pragmatically.
I see that as
Okay.
something in my
Okay.
practice. I feel
Interesting.
like what accounts, like the accounts of some of the clients, they always come and they say that these things I've been noticing post COVID, but I'm sure that it was there before.
That is some. So what I mean to say is basically post COVID, or when COVID happened, all the things that you are absolutely correctly describing, the isolation, the time to slow down. The problem is when you get time to slow down, if your mind is not healthy, that is when it comes and stares you in your face.
True.
When you slow down, only then you realize. So many people, I like to really, I've talked to a lot of corporates. So what I tell them is the most subtle form of you having a mental health issue, having a emotional problem, but you masking it, and the most subtle, most accepted, glorified form is workaholism. Like alcoholism, workaholism initially denoted that it had that negative tinge to it, that you are working and working and working because you do not have the means to face your own emotions, the means to face your own thoughts, the means to face the uncertainty that might brew up in your head when you're just sitting. That is what happened in COVID, that you had no other option but to face it. So the problems, I think, really started staring people in the face. And then that is one thing. Second thing is, as you pointed out, help was available online, which never happened before.
Yes.
So the privacy part really went to another level. It's like you can sit in your home, you don't need to go to anybody's place, you will not be seen by 10 other people. That judgment kind of reduced because the environment was such that I can sit in my home, I can talk to you, somebody can sit in their home, talk to a therapist, a psychiatrist, whoever. So they took the benefit of no judgment. They saw that they are seeing improvement, and once you realize how helpful therapy or how helpful treatment can be, then when we came back to the real world, people were like, "ठीक है, I am not caring about the taboo." In fact, then you have people who become champions of advocating mental health.
Absolutely.
So they are doing that digitally only.
Yeah.
So yeah, COVID was a turning point wherein it was like a melting point. Many people saw things blow up in their face, but then majority of them, I think, used it in a correct way. Again, digital technology helped them seek out help sitting in their rooms.
Absolutely. I couldn't have agreed more on what you said. Also, I think even television media at that time were talking very actively about mental health during COVID. So I think that also sort of boosted people because everyone was on news.
Absolutely.
Everyone was looking at news. There were, I remember sitting with a couple of my family members and like helpline numbers flashing. And my family members, for them, looking at mental health helplines flash on a news television screen was new.
Yeah, absolutely.
And media has incredibly helped us at that time.
True.
It was so interesting now since you spoke about thoughts and emotions and behaviors, these things, you have to slow down to notice it. Otherwise, the workaholism will take over, right? Do you think it is, in general, getting a little bit difficult in today's world where digital self is sort of taking over at a very rapid speed? And what I mean by that is distraction is available like that. And it's so easy to scroll. You can open up, you can talk to AI, you can talk to anyone, that your brain now has gone to a different direction. Have you been seeing that?
Truly, I agree with everything that you're saying. I think like during COVID, majority of the people who took help used technology and digital mediums to their advantage. Today, 3 to 4 years after COVID has kind of ended, or kind of not very, very, in its epidemic phase, I feel that majority of the people are hooked onto the digital mediums in a very unhealthy manner. I think 99% of the population is hooked onto digital mediums in a very unhealthy manner, as in they do not want to be bored. They do not want to entertain any kind of negative thoughts in their head, and they just want to escape from it.
Yes.
So the digital mediums, specifically social media, is an extremely powerful, addictive form of escapism is what I feel. And when you have content that you can, you wake up in the morning and you just start scrolling, you are not giving your brain a chance to do multiple things. One, you are not giving your brain a chance to be creative because creativity is highest in the morning. You are not giving your brain that chance. Two, let's say you wake up in the morning, people used to sit and make notes as to what they want to do in the morning. You're not giving your brain a chance to plan things. 3, if there are issues that you are having, you wake up in the morning and you're not feeling well, initially people used to kind of look at it, perhaps meditate, perhaps do some yoga, perhaps journal out something,
Read a
perhaps talk to
newspaper.
somebody, read a newspaper. So confronting your issues, confronting your thoughts is something that used to happen. Now you don't do that, because the moment you wake up and you feel that tinge of uneasiness, that first bite of uneasiness in your head, you are on your phone. So you are not giving your brain a chance to even understand what exactly it is that you are feeling. You are not giving your brain a chance to be its creative self. You are not giving the brain a chance to plan things. So I think it is a very horrific situation, and it is I would say after COVID, the next mass epidemic is this intense digital addiction that almost everybody is more or less a part of.
That's interesting. I'm having a lot of fun having this discussion also, because so many thoughts in my mind about it. One thing that prominently I would want to ask you about is how do people come and talk to you about their phone usage, or just like
See,
digital
usage.
usage?
People generally don't come and talk about it. Their relatives, their parents, their spouses talk about it. This is something that I have noticed very, very prominently, that people who are extremely high on their digital usage generally will come and underplay their digital usage. So generally, when let's start with, let's say, teenagers. So teenagers, when they come, their mom and dad won't stop blabbering about how the kid is using it. So the mom and dad will be like, he's using for 5 hours. The kid will be like, I'm using for 2 hours. Now there are two things in this. One, the kid in his brain is underplaying how much time he's wasting on that. Two, the screens are so addictive that they are almost reaching a flow state which we talk of when you're doing something that you love. Now the thing is, they're reaching a flow state, a high dopamine state in something that is totally unproductive.
Yes, it's like,
Therefore, time is flying by.
yes, time perception itself
Time
has changed for them.
Yeah, when we talk of flow state about productive things, this is happening in the non-productive arena. So that is one thing that happens with teenagers. Even when you have people who are coming in saying we are feeling very depressed, people who are coming in saying we are not enjoying our life. What I've seen in majority of the cases of clinical depression, we'll talk about anxiety also, but depression wale cases, the cases wherein they're just not feeling that zest for life, they're not feeling that enthusiasm for life. I always ask them, what do you do the 2 hours before you go off to sleep, and what do you do in the first 2 hours after you wake up? The answer in majority of these cases is, I just doom scroll. It is almost universal. So basically what you're doing is, you are not using the natural mechanisms that nature, God has given you to kind of keep your serotonin levels high. What are the natural ways? Get up. It's not very difficult. Get up in the morning. Try and align your waking up with sunlight.
Sunlight, yes.
Because all your cycles are aligned with sunlight. Once you wake up, your brain and your body are in alignment. They're telling you to move. Movement is something which is very necessary. But the moment you wake up, you're not taking sunlight. What you're doing is, you're using your screen. So there is no movement.
And
there
you're
is
still
no
on the
sunlight.
bed while
and
doing
you're
it.
still on the bed. And then what you're doing is, by just scrolling one reel at a time, you're taking that mini dopamine hit. That dopamine hit when you get, your brain is like, if I'm getting something which I cherish. Dopamine is something that makes us do anything.
Yes.
Dopamine is something
Rewarding.
is the
It's
reward center. Is the reward chemical of our brain. So when we get dopamine through any medium, we do that activity again and again. But we are supposed to do it in a natural way. Natural way is running. Natural way is eating, let's say, some good food. Natural way is taking sunlight. Natural
Following
way,
hobbies.
Following
and
hobbies.
things.
100 different things.
Yeah.
But that gives you a regulated amount of dopamine. That doesn't give you unlimited supply.
Like
Only
there's
when you work out for a certain time, you'll get little dopamine.
Yes.
Only when you are in sunlight for some time, you'll get little dopamine. Only when you're chatting with your partner, or only when you are romancing your partner, you'll get that dopamine for us in a certain amount. Okay, so there is like, you put X amount of effort, you get Y amount of dopamine. X is this, Y is this. This is how it is supposed to be naturally, and the brain works properly. When you are scrolling your screen, what you're getting is for no effort, just for the effort of doing this motion of your finger, you are getting more dopamine than you get in these natural activities.
So you'll always prioritize that
Absolutely.
over other
You will
activities
prioritize
then.
that over other activities, because with minimal effort, it's like with 10% effort, you are getting 90% reward. There with 90% effort, you are getting 10% reward.
Absolutely.
So you start liking this thing only. It's like if I work for 2 hours and I'm going to be paid in lakhs, vis-a-vis if I work for 8 hours and I'm going to be paid the same amount or lesser amount. No matter how noble the second thing is. My primitive brain, my dopamine hungry brain will tell me, do the thing wherein effort is less, reward is more.
Yes.
But the problem is it's a false reward. Na? The problem is the brain has not been designed to take that much of reward. The brain has not been designed. It's like if I have a 100-course meal, my body has not been designed to eat each of that.
Yes.
5, 10, 15 products I'll try, and after that I'll be like, ho gaya. That's the problem. Here you are getting unlimited supply of dopamine with almost zero effort, and once you get that for free, then to tell people go and work is very difficult. So the people who are depressed, then they don't find the energy to kind of wake up out of their beds and go and work. Okay, how will they?
And eventually, I think also a very passive fatigue also sets in.
Absolutely. See,
Right?
that too
Like-
is something that,
Like constantly, like even like scrolling, your attention capacities also after a point of time drop. And there is, it's interesting how you said that the loop doesn't close. There's a start of an activity, dopamine should hit, and after that there should be it should subside and the loop closes ideally. Say for example, when you go outside, you do something that you like, you get a reward, and that should close there. But what happens with, like you rightly said, like it keeps going on and on and
it's
on.
been designed
and
that
on.
way. It's been designed that way by very intelligent people who want to keep you hooked. You read the newspaper ends.
Exactly.
Okay, now newspaper doesn't give you a dopamine, but let's say you exercise, that gives you dopamine.
Yeah.
After some time, that you will get tired. You'll get your dopamine. That's end of story. One of the most natural ways to get dopamine is when you eat very healthy and tasty. Primarily, it's tasty food. That gives you dopamine.
Yes.
But after a certain time, your stomach will be full.
Satiation happens. Yeah.
Sexual activity, one of the most natural activities which gives you dopamine.
Yes.
But you have intimacy, you reach your orgasm, you get that dopamine high. After that, you're out.
Yes.
But with this, it's like infinite amount of cheap, false dopamine is available because the feed never ends, na?
Yes.
There has to be something, na, ki the feed is going to end after half an hour. It just never ends. And your brain is like getting it. So brain doesn't understand what's happening. But brain wants dopamine. Brain is not interested in what is good, what is bad. If I get dopamine, I'm more than happy in that.
Absolutely.
So that is the problem. Other things also, when you talked of, when you're watching short form content,
Yes.
specifically.
Yes. Like attention span specifically.
Attention spans, you are promoting the brain to not pay attention to anything for more than 30 seconds. And when, as a creator, because I also create content, when I think as a creator, I'm like, what can I do? Or any creator is like, what can I do so that I can hold the attention for the first 5 seconds so that that person watches it for the next 60 seconds or 30 seconds. So I make it in a way, or any creator makes it in a way that when we say you need to have a hook for a reel. Hook for a reel is what? You are laying out some bait in the form of dopamine. Aap dopamine de rahe ho. See, you are getting this dopamine. If you watch for 30 more seconds, you'll get more. Essentially speaking, it's not good for the brain. Na?
Yes.
Because what you're doing is, it's like you are giving reward before and then saying, see, I'm giving you a reward. Stay for more. So it's not healthy in the long term. But that is what short form content of videos promotes. Unfortunately.
Do you think that, out of my curiosity, because I also work with neurodivergent clients, say with ADHD more specifically, they have neurodevelopmentally, like the brain has ADHD basically, right? But now what I'm seeing in my practice, and I'm sure it is with you also, this acquired form of attentional difficulties are coming in. It's almost like their brain is getting rewired with the digital age and like constant doom scrolling, spending a lot of time on social media throughout, like across platforms. Like if you see platforms like Twitter, for example, they also have 250 characters, only that much. You can write that much, you can put a photo, and that is it. Then you scroll, again there is something new, then there is something new. So the activity of something new keeps coming up over and over and over again, which is actually something which we see in distractibility with ADHD also, like needing to do something new constantly. Is this something that you have also observed?
Yes, I have observed it. Somebody who has not had ADHD, diagnosed ADHD, or not had a major issue with attention spans, with focus, concentration, we do see that post this explosion of digital mediums, they are having these issues. So I wouldn't say they have developed ADHD, but yeah, they are having attentional problems. They are having issues with focus. Some of them are even taking medication, because when we have tried to do behavioral therapy, when we have tried to suggest certain things for them, it's just not helping them enough. So it has reached that place in people who did not have ADHD as part of their biology before. Or perhaps what has happened is there were many people who were at the borderline.
Yes.
And then they were able to kind of get through it because of streamlining their life in a proper way. Because they paid attention, they used to sit and do one thing for 3 hours at a stretch.
At a stretch, yes.
That's what, when we were kids, that's what our parents, our teachers used to do. You have to isolate yourself from whatever distraction we had even back then. What distraction we had? Telephone.
Yes.
We had the television. So isolate yourself from that kind of distraction. Sit in a room wherein you have the least amount of clutter, and then you'll be able to study. Now, people who don't have ADHD, they won't have an issue even today. People who are at the boundary, initially the conditions were such that it supported their increasing attention. Now the conditions are such that it supports their decrease in attention.
Yes.
Because if I was able, as a ADHD person, I was able to focus for 2 minutes. Now after watching reels on reels, I will bring it automatically down. I am training my brain to bring it down to 30 seconds.
Yes.
So that is something that we suggest a lot of ADHD patients, that they have to be off mediums wherein short-term reels are there, wherein you are having very, very small
Like
amount
shorter
of time content. We advocate, in fact, that if you want to see something, digital medium, because there's so much of knowledge available, you go for the long form. And then in the long form, what do I specifically advocate is, I advocate 2 things. These are practical things. One, and I realized this myself while I used to do things. When you go on YouTube, what happens is, now I make it a point that I will only press on a YouTube button. I will press on a video if I'm going to watch it in its entirety.
Oh, okay.
And when I start a video, at the risk of getting bored, I watch the entire video.
Irrespective of whether
Whether
like it?
I like it or not, if it is really very pathetic,
of course.
then
Yeah.
I don't.
Yes.
But if it is a Samarpan podcast, then I watch it entirely.
Thank you.
So basically what I'm trying to say is, if the video is decent quality,
Yes.
not very engaging but not very boring, most of the times I make it a point that I watch the entire video. So what I'm doing, I am being mindful before clicking a button as to which video I want to watch. YouTube video is generally 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Once I have clicked on the video, I make it a point that I watch something so it increases my attention span, or at least it doesn't reduce it. It gives me some actual value addition. 30 seconds of reels are not going to give you any value addition, because you are watching 30-second reels, 30 of them. None of that is going from your short-term memory into your long-term memory. So one more way of putting something from your short-term to long-term memory. So memory issues also coming. Attention issues are there. Memory issues are also there. So memory issue if you don't want, attention issue you don't want. Watch YouTube videos. Be more mindful before you select them. And once you select them, watch the entire video. Another thing that I do is, just 3-4 months back, till 3-4 months back, I used to kind of pay the amount and go on YouTube Premium, so that when I press the video, I get the video I want. But then one fine day, my thing ran out, and I was like, the ads are coming. But the ads help you teach patience. So now I made it a point that I don't go back onto YouTube Premium. So every time I start a video, I watch that ad for 30 seconds.
What used to happen if the ads used to come? As a personal experience, since the YouTube Premium ran out and ads आने लग गए थे, तो क्या होता था तभी?
कुछ नहीं होता था. You learn patience.
Like, would you get restless?
Initially you do, na? Of course you do. You are like, the moment you press something, that has to come. And that is there in every aspect of your life. Digital aspect of life is not limited to social media.
Absolutely.
It is limited to, it is extending to food ordering. It is extending to ordering a cab. It is extending to ordering a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Right swipe is there everywhere.
Yes.
I advocate for my patients. What I do for myself is, at least those 30 seconds, I'll be able to tell my judgment brain, my prefrontal cortex, that it's okay to wait that much. Everything around you is telling you don't wait. All the companies around you are their USP. Everybody's USP today is telling you don't wait. We'll get you something in 10 minutes. We'll get you a girlfriend in 1 day. We'll get you pizza in 15 minutes. That is not how the brain was designed to be. And in such instances, when you are so hooked onto getting everything fast, instant gratification,
Yes.
then when you don't get something, which is going to happen, you might have a breakup. As a professional, you might have many days wherein, due to some reasons, the number of clients that you have or the patients that you have will be less. So there, if I have the ability to get bored, I have the ability to just bide my time and be okay with it, and confront some negative thoughts that might come, and tell myself that these are just thoughts, let them come, go, let them come, go, let them come, go. Vis-a-vis, what I do, I just click a button, and whenever a bad thought comes, negative thought comes, I just distract myself and get something.
Absolutely.
So that YouTube Premium, cancelling that and waiting for 30 seconds is just one very simple way of increasing my patience, which I tell a lot to my patients who have ADHD. More than ADHD, people who have anger outbursts, people who are impulsive, people who have a lot of anxiety. So what people with anxiety also do, they also doom scroll, they doom watch.
Yeah.
So at least they can be with their anxiety for 15 seconds.
And that's how you increase the tolerance to
increase the
difficult
tolerance.
emotions also. Like even with anxiety, like you said, even if that
Absolutely.
पहले तो zero था, but if we can just increase it to even 15 seconds of tolerating that, that is 15 seconds of progress somewhere.
Absolutely.
And you can do what you can do, and you can control what you can control, rather than constantly going behind things, which is what anxiety is.
Absolutely. Even addictive behaviors are what? Addictive behaviors are, in a sense, instant gratification. Addictive behaviors are basically escape strategies most of the times. They're escape strategies, they are gratifying behaviors. So if you make the front part, prefrontal cortex, front part of your brain, which is like the brake button of your brain, which tells you this seems very lucrative, it's like a bowl of dopamine here, it will feel very good, but it's not good for you. Wait. That ability to wait, when you develop that ability to wait, then you can conquer any addiction.
Yeah.
It's primarily boils down to the ability to pause, tell yourself, this seems very lucrative, this seems very enticing, this seems like a wonderful thing, but you know it's not. So now can you just bide your time, wait, and let that urge go? So that requires development of patience, that requires development of your front part of the brain.
Your judgment, your decision making, is this something I want to go into, not go into, make that choice, I think. How is it similar or different to substance use? Like, how is digital addiction similar or different to substance use?
I would say today it has become very similar. Digital addiction few years back was something which was very rare. But today I personally feel, there are studies also which tell you that somebody who is a digital addict or somebody who is on the internet constantly, the changes that you see in his or her brain are very similar to the changes that you see in somebody who's a cocaine addict.
Is it?
Yeah. So the parts of the brain which light up, the reward centers which light up in a cocaine addict when he anticipates that he'll get cocaine, the same thing is happening for that digital addict. So it is at that level. Why it is at that level? Because the speed at which you can access information, the variety of information that you can access with just a click of a button. It's like with cocaine, you can do cocaine. But with digital addiction, you can do Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, WhatsApp, all at once. So it's like, which is a more advanced mobile? A more mobile, which is advanced mobile is one which gives you 4 screens at once. So basically it's giving you 4x the dose of dopamine, 4x the dose of how much power it has over you. Cocaine can't do that. No drug can do that. I'm not saying drugs are beneficial. I'm
Absolutely.
not saying that this is less dangerous. They are also very dangerous. They hijack your system, but this is not less dangerous. This also has the ability to hijack your system to the, I feel, to the same level. You talk of any addiction, when you talk of any addiction, there are 2-3 things that we talk of. We talk of withdrawal, that if you don't, let's say I'm addicted to coffee, or let's say I'm addicted to alcohol. When I don't get alcohol, I'll have withdrawal symptoms. I'll get cranky, I might get nauseous, I might have tremors, I will not sleep. So that is when the addictive thing is withdrawn. I start to have problems. Similar things you will see in people who are digital addicts. When their mobile or when their screen is taken away from them, you will see restlessness as almost a universal feature. It's like till they get their screen back, till that time they will be very restless. You will see it very commonly, and for this, so you can just see around you, you can see in yourself. Most of the people, it's like when they can't find their phone, where is my phone, where is my phone, where is my phone, where is my phone? And till you get your phone, your brain just doesn't stop. I have found very few people whose phone has kind of gone somewhere, or they've lost their phone and they're not able to find it, and they're like, theek hai, kahin hoga, I'll see after 3 hours. Tell me, in today's world, how many people can put their hand to their heart and say that if I don't find my phone when I want it, I can just leave it for 3 hours and tell myself I'll see after 3 hours.
I'm guilty to it. I don't think
Everybody
I
is
can do
guilty
it.
to it. The first thing is self-awareness, so at least that is there. Hai na?
Yes.
So the thing is that restlessness, which is part of withdrawal, when the addictive thing is withdrawn from you, you become restless. That is there in universally everybody. Somebody who is at a higher level of addiction would get very cranky, would get very irritable. They'll not eat their food till they get that. If somebody threatens, oh, it's like an alcoholic is having alcohol and their family members say, oh, we'll just throw it off. In that moment, they can even hit the family members, their friends, whoever it is.
Yes.
This we are seeing even with digital addicts, especially with teenagers. It's like when that is removed from them, they can throw temper tantrums. They can even hit their parents. They can even hit the person who is telling them not to do so. So that withdrawal is there. Any other thing? What's the other thing that you associate with an addiction? You associate something called as tolerance. Tolerance is
yes.
like, I used to take this much of alcohol and I used to feel, very light. Now I take this much to feel the same amount of lightedness, relaxation. Then you require this much. Then you require 2 bottles. Then you require 4 bottles. So to get the same amount of relaxation, you require increasing amounts of the same thing. That is, your body is becoming more and more tolerant to that product. Same thing happens in digital medium. Tell me any person that you have met in your life, or I have met in my life, or anybody who's recording our video, anybody who's met in their life who are like, I used to be on the internet for half an hour before, and now I used to feel good, and now I am on the internet for 20 minutes, but I feel the same amount of goodness. Never it happens.
I don't think so.
It will always be 30 minutes, it will become 40, 40 it will become 1 hour, 1 hour will become 2 hours. And 2 hours will also not feel sufficient. That's the key.
And that's scary.
That absolutely, it is scary. It's scary. It is any other addiction when we talk of it handicaps and impairs your daily life.
Yes.
Does digital addiction impair your daily life? Absolutely. We see patients every day who are like kids, not wanting to go to school, not sleeping, so not getting up in the morning, so not wanting to go to school. I've seen kids who have been in front of their screen, they're playing the video games or whatever. In fact, sometimes peeing in their pants, peeing in their skirts, to the extent that they forget that they have to go and just do such a natural bodily function. They forget that also. They are so hooked onto the digital medium.
So physical sort of impairment is also seen now because of this.
Absolutely. It might not be very apparent in everybody. It's more mental, it's more emotional, it's more behavioral. Like irritability, number one. Restlessness, again a very major thing. Not being able to focus while you are not on the digital medium, one more thing. But yeah, physical things also you see.
You had spoken about how clients who have digital addiction, they are not the ones who are generally aware of something like this.
Correct.
Usually you see parents, spouses, people in the family, some friends also. If you ask them, they are more aware of what is happening with the client, right? So going forward, if you want to how can people start recognizing if their loved one is getting addicted to digital mediums? Like, what are some messages or some indications that they can look out for?
Yeah. Whenever you try to stop that person and tell that person that, okay, you have been doing it for a long amount of time, let's stop. The first reaction is no. The first reaction is, I want to do it for some more time. That is the number one indicator. Two, if you feel that that person's daily chores are taking a backseat, right from taking a bath to eating food to going to work to having a productive conversation about anything at home, if none of these things are happening, the only thing that is happening in his or her life at that point of time is centered around the digital medium, then that is what we would say a khatre ki ghanti. That is something that is a very big red flag. Another thing that you need to look at is sleep behaviors. Majority of the times people who are addicted to digital mediums, they will sleep off listening or watching it and wake up watching it. So just before going to sleep, if they are involved in watching something, or just before or just after waking up, that's the first thing they do. So the last thing they do before they go off to sleep and the first thing they do after waking up, if it involves some or the other internet based digital medium, then it is a short sign that that person is kind of hooked onto it. If you feel that one experiment that you can do, that I recommend a lot of my patients to do, is on a Sunday or on a day when you are having a holiday, that day you don't have a rationalization for yourself, no? That today I have to watch the phone because there'll be a WhatsApp group of my office, of this, of work, of that. Nothing is there. So on a Sunday or whenever is your holiday, that day, ideally speaking, if there is something very urgent, somebody will call you. So there is no real need for you to be on the internet or on a digital place. That day what you can do is, that day don't touch your internet at all. If you can go through that digital detox for, let's say, from morning 9 to evening 9 p.m, that will tell you how addicted your family member or you yourself are to it or not to it. If you can go through the entire 12 hours and engage yourself in productive hobby based activity. So what you are doing is not that you are doing something very, very pleasurable, because this is high dopamine. Watching internet is very high dopamine activity. So I'm not saying stop that and do something very boring. I'm saying on a Sunday, just remember your teenage times and remember what you used to do on Sundays. You of course didn't scroll your phone. At least somebody who's about 25 today didn't do that, right? Did you go and play cricket? Did you go and dance? Did you go out to a cafe with your friends? Whatever you did, go and do that. So you're replacing one pleasurable activity which is not healthy for you with another pleasurable activity which is hobby based, which is a little more productive. So you're not kind of starving the brain of entirely of dopamine. So you do that activity. And then see within those 12 hours how many times your brain is craving for it. If your brain craves for it, but you're able to tell yourself it's a Sunday, I don't need it, forget it, and your brain listens, then perhaps you're not addicted to it. Perhaps there is overuse but not addiction. If you are doing the other activities, you're playing cricket, you're dancing, you're singing, you're talking to friends, but still beyond a certain point you just can't keep quiet and you have to kind of open your phone and you have to see, just because of the fear of missing out or for no other reason, but you have to do this activity. Your brain is, it's like a itch in your brain that you have to press it. If you can't stop and you do it, let's say 2 hours into it, 3 hours into it, 4 hours into it, then of course there's some level of addiction. If it's like you have been told to do that and 15 minutes into the exercise you are like, I don't want to dance, I don't want to do this, that, all of that is boring, mujhe ye hi karna hai, then your level of addiction is very high. So it is something that you can test on yourself. Go digitally free on the day of your holiday. Category number 1. So go digitally free on the day of your holiday and do something that you used to love doing when the digital medium was not so prominent. It could be anything. It's absolutely anything.
It's basically like experimenting to see where you are lying on the overuse to addiction to not bothered about digital use.
It's like a diabetic who craves sugar. So I'm saying you stop the sugar, but you take sugar free. So you stop the digital addiction, but you do something that you used to love. I'm not saying stop that digital addiction and start meditating. the brain will see it's a very bad trade-off. यहाँ पे इतना मजा आ रहा था and here I'm not having 1% fun in the first day. Brain will not listen. So replace sugar with sugar free. So replace digital addiction something that you like and then see at what level you are. If you can go through the entire day, then you're not an addict without of course touching it. If you're like you can, but you know the craving is coming, finally you give in, so there's some level of addiction. If you're like you don't even want to consider this possibility 10 minutes into the experiment, then you know where you're standing.
Yes, that's a very nice thing. I think I'm going to do that too.
Yeah.
I think this Sunday I'm going to do that. Okay. Something which I have additionally seen also, I also see couples in therapy, and a lot of relational problems also surround overuse of digital mediums, like not just partners or husband and wife or people who are married, but otherwise as well, like connection in the online world, a lot of catfishing that happens, very easily trusting someone else in romantic partners or in friendships. But the entire basis of relationships in the digital world has changed. And I think a lot of clients who also struggle with being anxiously attached also, they struggle with also trusting a lot and not knowing where the relationship is going. Have you also seen problems in relationship or even holding committed relationships for a longer period of time in this zone?
Yes.
As
yes.
well?
It is a big issue. What you're saying is absolutely, you've hit the nail on the head. It is a very major issue, and I have also seen something very similar. It depends as to what your basic personality is and what kind of problem you have in that personality. Let's say you have somebody who is very narcissistic, let's just think of different personalities. Somebody who's full of himself or herself. That person, because a narcissistic person is very, very charming in the initial few dates or the initial few interactions, that person before digital medium might have tried to work on some level of his or her narcissism, because he would have been stuck with a partner and then he would have been confronted with the reality sooner or later, and the choice of another partner or the choice of the illusion of another partner would not have been there before. But today he or she will have that choice left, right and center. So rather than going inside and checking, oh, there's something wrong with me, I am full of myself, I always victimize myself, or I always blame my partner for anything that is going wrong in the relationship, what he or she will do, he will switch partners. He will switch partners faster than you can imagine, and because he or she will be very charming in the initial few interactions, he or she will get partners. So basically he will never ever form a committed relationship wherein there is some amount of self-awareness that he or she develops. So this will happen with narcissism. As you said, with other kind of, if somebody is very delusional, or somebody is like not very cognitively flexible, or somebody is very rigid. Somebody thinks that, okay, this is the way a relationship is supposed to be. Let's say there is a girl who feels that this is the way my boyfriend or my husband is supposed to be. Now what happens on the digital medium? Let's say she's not even talking to any other person. Even when she is going on Instagram or any other portal and she's seeing reels which show that, see, yes, your husband is not emotionally available for you, this is how all guys are. She'll see one such reel, the Instagram or the social media algorithm will show her 100 reels,
Similar ones.
wherein the guy is the faulty party, and her rigid thought process will get even more rigidified. She'll feel, see, everybody is talking like that only, that whatever my emotional needs are, no guy is ever going to able to fulfill it. My husband or my boyfriend, he just doesn't understand. That's what everybody is telling, because every second reel that she's seeing will show that only. Similarly, if a guy, I'm just generalizing, okay, this could be a very, very individual thing. Generally, girls complain that they don't get the emotional support from their partner. So that's why I talked of guy not being emotionally available, and then the girl seeing those reels and she's getting hundreds of such reels, and then her belief becomes solidified. Similar thing can happen for a guy. Guys generally are like, girls are not very, very as they progress in the relationship, guys are generally like, they are very much into the physical affection part of it, the sexual part of it, which girls, they feel are not too much into it. And then he'll see a reel wherein, see, you are providing all the love and you are caring for her, but what about your needs? She's just not understanding. He'll see one such reel and then he'll start getting 100 reels. Ki, see, you do not matter, you are just a provider, you are just a ATM, you are just a insurance card. And then he'll start feeling, yes, my sexual needs are not met, this is not met, that is not met. So his belief system will get amplified. The problem is you are not getting a counter argument there.
Yes.
Reels that you see, or the content that you see, because it is chosen by you and because the algorithm wants to show you similar things, so whatever your belief system is, it will not get challenged. It will get amplified. So in such a situation, how will a couple come to a common ground? Because he is in his feed watching, oh, I'm just somebody who's like an ATM. She is seeing reels wherein, oh, I'm not getting any emotional love. He just comes and he is totally distant from me emotionally. Both have their thought processes which get amplified. So that is happening in a digital medium only.
Yes. It feeds on to the false perception that you are creating, and there is, like you rightly said, there is no sort of counter argument to what you are thinking.
Even
the
with,
basic.
Even with AI, little bit of that it is an issue, na?
Yes.
Because
I
when you
see
talk
that.
of chat GPT, we are saying that people are, so many of my patients, they are starting to talk to chat GPT. They feel it's a very good therapist. A therapist is not there to soothe or please you.
Absolutely.
Correct? A psychotherapist or a psychologist is there to help you identify your own toxic patterns, wherein you could be narcissistic or you could be over anxious, whatever that toxic pattern is, and then rectify it. But the problem with chat GPT or AI, at least till now, perhaps in the future it will become that generation, I don't know. We can never
At
say
least
never.
in 2025, that is not happening.
2025
That's
won't
not
happen.
happening.
Maybe it will happen later, I don't know. Is like, when you tell ChatGPT, oh, this is what is happening in my relationship, or this is what is happening, this is what my boyfriend always does, this is what he does. And then the girl will be like, so I talk to him in this way, I am right now. So the AI is not going to give you very major counter arguments to that. Because you're going to put the question to AI in such a way that you seem like the victimized party, or you seem like the one who has suffered. So AI will talk accordingly.
And it will always try to soothe you. It's never going to show you the mirror, which probably a psychiatrist or a psychologist is going to tell you. And there's this very simple statement I always tell my clients, that you should know what contribution you are making for your own mental health also. Because it is generally so outwardly focused. This person is doing this to me, this is what I can see, this is being unfair, this person is treating me like this. But also somewhere down the line, you are also contributing in some way. Whatever way that is, not victimizing or not like invalidating what they're feeling, but you also have to see that. And I think in the digital medium, in digital age, whatever, it is so self-focused that ultimately वो एक गलत वे में जा रहा है.
Yeah. Narcissism, I think you have covert narcissism, you have overt narcissism. So somebody whose narcissism is under the wraps, few years before today, those societal rules would have made him keep it under the wraps. Today, that covert narcissism which is under the wraps, online mediums kind of promote you to become an overt narcissist. Because anything you say can be justified.
I think the opposite is also, like, we can see two like spectrums. I don't know how your experience has been. Like, I see one end where there is overt narcissism coming up a lot more, but on the other end there is so much of imposter syndrome also coming in. So many people are doing this, I'm not anywhere.
Absolutely, correct.
I don't think if I'm living the life that I want to, if this is what I want to do, oh, that person is starting a business, I also want to start a business. This is a small business, should I start a business? It's just so much of information overload that you start comparing yourself to other people constantly, whether or not you are in the same phase of life, whether you want the same thing or not, whether it was ever a part of your life to begin with. And that puts a person in this stuck anxious zone, constantly doubting themselves.
I agree totally. So, very correctly said. whatever is your emotion or whatever is your personality, that gets amplified, whether it's the narcissistic part of it or the anxious part of you, somebody who's very anxious, and anxiety is more common than narcissism. People who are anxious, a majority of the people who are anxious, people who want a lot of validation, they are not looking inward for validation now. They are looking more and more externally for validation. Gen Z likes to say that we are a very independent generation, that we are not bound by what society feels by us, what society thinks about us, what this uncle and auntie thinks about me. That's what Gen Z generally says. But I feel that Gen Z is the most, unfortunately, the most dependent generation ever in the history of mankind, because people before today's generation used to rely on validation from people that they knew, at least. So let's say I'm staying in a society, I would be judged by the society's auntie, or I would be judged by the society's uncle, or I would be judged by my relatives. Now I have some semblance of connection to these people. Gen Z is saying we don't want to be judged by you guys. Fair enough, good. But that should be replaced by internal validation. That is getting replaced by we will be judged by some stranger who's sitting in some corner of the world and who's just my Instagram follower and who can comment anything, and I will feel bad because of it. So I think it is a higher level of dependence. It is not independence. It is a higher level of dependence, because before, people who judged you and whose validation mattered to you, you at least knew them. Now people that you don't even know, you have never ever met in your life, your self-esteem can be decided by that stranger. So it's an even worse situation. That is something that Gen Z and most of us need to kind of introspect on and see where we are going. You know, there's a very simple concept that I like to talk of. It's like, let's say this cup represents your self-esteem, your worth, your self-concept. Who am I?
Who am I?
One side of self-worth is narcissism, wherein like I am the king of the world, right? Wherein this cup is overflowing. Whether it is justified, not justified, it's just overflowing. And the other side is wherein this cup is almost empty, wherein you are very anxious, you are very insecure, you are feeling like an imposter, you might be the most proficient singer in the world, you might be the best accountant in the world, but you still feel I'm not good for anything, right? What level of cup is full will decide where you are. Now the key not to become a narcissist or not to be an imposter is, I feel, there has to be a ratio of 3:1, wherein 3 or 75% of your self-esteem is fulfilled by your internal validation, by what activities you have done, by what you have achieved, by what you think of yourself. Of course, it has to be some evidence-based. It just can't be I can affirm myself to that, but it has to be a combination of what you have achieved, how you affirm yourself to be a more confident version of yourself, how you look at your own strengths in a positive way. So that internal validation has to be 3/4, 75%. But 1/4 also has to be some level of external validation. If you do that, I feel you will not be on any major part of the spectrum. If you are like, no, 100% of my self-esteem or 100% of my self-worth or my concept of myself will come internally, then you can become delusional. Na? Then you can feel what you want. Then I can feel that I am the best psychiatrist in the world, irrespective of whether anybody feels so or not, whether I have cured 5 patients or not. Yeah. If I start affirming to myself, I am the best, I am the best, I am the best, without looking at reality, that's 100% internal validation. I can reach a narcissistic delusional place. On the other hand, if I am like, let's say, 90% dependent on what my patients or what my clients come and tell about me, that Dr. Sagar is an awesome doctor, or Dr. Sagar, he's a rubbish person, he doesn't know anything. If I'm 90% dependent on that, then I will never be secure. Because you know that, everybody knows that no matter what you do, everybody can't be happy with you.
Absolutely.
I feel when that ratio is 3:1, wherein 3 is the sense that I get from inside, that if I am working well for my clients, my patients, if I am putting in the adequate hard work, irrespective of whether all of them are getting better or not, I am okay. And 25% I take feedback as to what's happening. Then you can be a secure, confident, individual who's not lying deep down in the doldrums, doubting everything that you're doing. At the same time, you won't be somebody who is totally cut off from reality and feeling that you are more superior than you actually are.
That's so beautifully put. This is the first time I'm coming across something like this, which
That's
was
my
really
theory.
nice.
Maybe I'll
Yes.
write a paper on it.
I think it's time for you to copyright it after this goes out live.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
it is really nice. I think I completely agree. Self as a concept has been very shaky of late because of digital media, because you don't know what self looks like anymore. There is so much of external validation that you end up seeking. Everything is external. I think very rarely are we finding people or to do things which are pouring into our internal world.
Correct.
Very mindfully or very intentionally. I'm glad that now, at least, and I can see for the city that we are staying in, at least, thankfully and graciously, we are having certain more activities, more social events coming up very frequently now. But like, I think people are also realizing that we need people around to survive, not just on a phone, but more on a intentional interactional level, which is somewhere getting lost with people. I think few years back also, when I used to talk to certain clients who identified as introverts, they would still a little bit maybe go for some function, go for society party, something or another. But now they're so comfortable staying in that one room with their phone, with the gaming laptop, or on their phone, just looking at people vicariously. There is no interaction, and they're not able to break that pattern also. So it's almost like they are going into the cocoon of, okay,
Correct.
I'm an introvert,
Correct.
I have a problem with mingling with people, so I don't. Like, there is no okay, let me try, because there is no opportunity. Now opportunity is presenting in the form of a digital medium and the phone, so they go into that space, which is actually worse.
I agree to what you're saying. I agree to most of what you're saying. Yeah, it is a problem wherein people who were very shy, introverted, what we call even a schizoid, they are getting into a zone wherein they just don't want to interact and they are okay being that way. But the problem is that even when you're introverted, introversion does not mean you do not require social connectedness. It just means that you require or you feel connected with a very select few group of people. Now introversion, if you start misrepresenting that as from I want less people, or I open up to selective people, to I don't need anybody,
Exactly.
that won't fly in the long term. Because as humans, we are social beings, and we have, even this is something I tell a lot of my patients, a lot of my clients, that social connectedness, true social connectedness, as you put it, intentionally being socially connected, is something that is the best thing that can happen to your mental health, because that is how we have been for lakhs of years. See, the digital medium has come 10 years, 15 years, 20 years before today. Our brains have been hardwired to sit with each other, see each other in 3D, touch each other, feel each other's presence for millions of years. So that millions of years of conditioning can't go away in 15 years. It just can't go away.
Yes.
That is why social connectedness, not on the phone, but social connected. Otherwise, we could have done this podcast like we were doing in COVID only, na?
Yeah, on Zoom.
It would have saved you so much of money. But then why? See, most of the podcasts today, again you see, most of the sessions today that people today take, why are people again switching back? Majority of the places are switching back to where people are with each other. Otherwise, we could have done this podcast. I am sitting in my home, you are sitting in your home, and we could have just merged it. It's cost effective. But then, even the viewer who's watching two people interact will not find it as connected.
Yeah.
That is why people are again coming back to social events. That is why people are doing podcasts with each other. That is why people are doing sessions. They're doing it in person.
Yeah.
That is why you'll see even today in COVID, so many of our clients and patients, we used to see them online. But today when I see out of 100 people that I give an option, okay, that I also do online, people are ready to travel, but they want to come and meet in person.
Yes. I have seen that too.
Yeah. So that is an inherent human desire.
And it'll be very difficult for any social media or any digital world to sort of replace it.
Maybe in a few thousand years it will.
Yes.
But
like
see,
you
that's
said,
what, not anytime soon, because 1 million years, see, it all boils down. I am somebody who believes a lot in evolution.
Evolution, yes.
I believe a lot in evolution. Evolution told us, as humans, we are not very strong. When you think of how we used to live in caves, when we were hunter-gatherers not very far ago, we were not a very strong species. So a tiger or even any other predator, a wolf, a tiger, any other predatory animal is more strong than a human.
Yeah.
So by ourselves we cannot survive. The only reason we could have survived as cavemen was because we were in groups of 10, 20, 30. And that time, if I am not socially connected, when I am a caveman, let's say there are 20 people, and out of that, one person feels that, oh, I am not gelling well with the group. Today, it just means isolation. Back then, it meant that the group has outcasted you, and you might not even be able to survive the night because a predator might come and eat you up. So, isolation not far ago meant death.
Yes.
Now and that continued for 1,00,000 years. That continued for thousands of years. Just in a few hundred or thousand years recently, even if you are isolated, it doesn't necessarily mean death. But our brain is still stuck up there. So that is why when you are not socially connected, even though you will not die today, your brain is still stuck up in that prehistoric time, wherein isolation meant you will be eaten up or you might not be able to survive the night. That's why we want that. That's why we crave it. Now, perhaps if we have social media for 1,000 more years, 1,00,000 years of evolution, you need to at least give 1,000 years for the brain to kind of adapt to it. Na?
Yes.
But before that, it is not going to adapt. Before that, it is always going to feel burnt out. You see, many of your clients must have told you, many of my patients have told me, after 2 hours of social media, they don't feel refreshed. After 2 hours of social media, you feel burnt out.
You feel fatigued.
After 2 hours of interacting with your friends, you feel refreshed. That is just a very, very simple way of finding out whether it's good or bad for you. You're doing something for 1 hour. After that 1 hour, are you feeling happy? Are you feeling more on energy? Is it an energy enhancer or is it an energy drainer? If it's an energy drainer, then that's not a good thing. So whenever you sit with your friends for half an hour, 1 hour, you feel, maza aaya. We had such a good time after a long time. That is what the feeling is. Whenever you are on social media, you, me, anybody, majority of the people will not say, oh, what a great hour of social media I had and now I'm feeling superb. You'll never feel that way. You'll either end up comparing yourself with somebody, or you'll end up feeling more anxious, or you'll be the comparison trap is one of the biggest trap today that we have. It's like that person is doing that person is doing that. So no matter where you are, you'll never feel good enough. Unless and until you are watching a digital medium which is for information, the chances are most likely that when you watch it for 1 hour or 2 hours, you will end up feeling more exhausted than you were feeling before.
Yes.
I feel the only time you should be on digital medium is when you are seeking information, when you are looking to laugh. Yeah, that's about it. And when you are wanting to connect. And I feel digital medium connection I think the best form of connection is you connect on the phone. Because on the digital medium, I've seen so many of the couples, we are talking of relationship, misconstrue what the other person is saying. It doesn't have to be romantic relationship. It could be one smiley could mean 10 different things for 10 different people.
Yeah.
So whenever you want to communicate, I feel the people who are the best friends or people who are the best, the best couple or a best group will always communicate well if they are doing it on the good old talk to each other.
Talk to each other, pick up the phone, talk to each other. Thankfully, I think video calls are making it also better for you to see the facial expressions. I think that is a much, much better form of connection as compared to a simple text, because then you'll end up waiting for the text to come back also. I, it is so interesting for me because you have a good mix of, you do understand mental health because you are a mental health practitioner, but you do mental health advocacy so heavily using the digital mediums, right? So you understand where it's going wrong, but you also understand the benefits of it. How do you personally try to mindfully take care of your mental health, knowing that it is a
No,
mix?
so one thing that I do is, mindfully, when we say mindfully, it's a very beautiful concept. One is doing something mindfully, is being in the moment and doing it, and then doing something with a full mind, mindful. When your mind is so full of the garbage that you're consuming. So the words spell the same, but they mean totally different. So first thing is self-awareness, that this is a double-edged sword. That self-awareness, that whether you want to have a full mind and then get swayed away, or you want to be mindful and select certain things. Self-awareness, that this is a double-edged sword. Two, what I personally do is I do not go onto social media after waking up for 2 hours. I do not go onto a digital medium last 2 hours of before I go to sleep. That is one thing I do. Two, what I have started doing is I exercise a lot. So I exercise at least 1 hour per day. I think, and that during that exercise time, I am off my phone.
Okay.
It's like if it is very important, somebody will call, and I've realized that people will call. This illusion that we have to be on a text-based portal constantly, it's a illusion. It's not real. If it is really important, people will call, or people will message, people will get in touch with you if it's really important. So that is something that I try to avoid when I'm exercising. Three is that each I get, that whenever, let's say I've seen 3-4 patients and now I am sitting before the next one comes. So it's a each, that okay, let's just open the phone and do something on it. I try to deep breathe when I get that itch. So I try to do 4-7-8 breathing. So many types of breathing are there. So I try to breathe, and like almost my hand is reaching out to my wall, it's reaching out to my pant to take that phone. But I try to deep breathe and not act on it.
And basically self-soothe your restlessness.
Yeah, I
a
self-soothe
lot.
myself by deep breathing. That is what I try to do. There are many other ways to maintain your mental health, gratitude, all of that. Of course, that is like an entire different thing. How do you keep a good mental health? But specifically when it comes to digital mediums and our over dependence on it, this is what I try to do. I try to keep a zone in my home, the dining table, which I try to keep as a mobile free zone. So whenever I am eating food, I try to keep the phone away from that place. So there I eat my food, my dinner, my lunch, whatever it is. So there actively I try, unless until very important, that I don't use a digital medium. Yeah, I try to consume the news through a newspaper. I don't try to consume it because a newspaper is a much more structured way, and it ends. Main thing is it ends.
Yes.
And here you get any news. If you are seeing, what is Shah Rukh Khan doing, you'll get news about Shah Rukh Khan only. So the digital portal will show you news related to what you are seeing. It will not give you your overall perspective. It's again algorithm based. So you'll never get a 360-degree view of the world. A newspaper will do that for you. So that selective digital detox, selective de-associating from the digital medium by creating physical spaces. So let's say this is my eating space. Physically, I keep the phone away. So one is physically limiting or physically creating a boundary. Two is time-based boundary. After waking up 2 hours, before sleep 2 hours. Then sometimes what I've done is gone to a lesser bandwidth of the internet that you take. As in, people want to take 3G ka 4G, 4G ka 5G. I want 3 GB per day. So I have gone intentionally many times ki I want a package wherein I'm getting 1 GB per day. Rather than 2 GB per day, if I have 1 GB per day, I'll be a little bit more meticulous as to what I do. So proactively with self-awareness, seeing how much is required and then cutting down.
Yes. What I'm also hearing is that control things that you can control and what is there in your hand to maneuver around it. Like you said, physical limiting, time-based limiting, something about the internet packages also. It is something that is there in your hand. You can do it
Yeah.
to protect your mental health as much as possible.
One more thing that I do is, it's a very universal concept. I tell my patients, I also do is, effort should precede reward. Basically, it's like what I tell them is, like, let's say if you're working for a company, okay, we are in December. When will you get your December salary? You'll get your December salary at end of December. You'll not get your December salary at the start of December, because then the employer knows you won't work. So the effort will happen for 30 days, and as what is salary? Salary is a reward. It is basically that you have put in this much effort, we are giving this reward to you on the 31st. So effort, you get a reward. Dopamine. Social media or digital mediums, most of it, information based is different, pleasure based is different, which most of us are doing, is a reward system. So what I do is, when I have done some productive work, so first 2 hours I'm not doing, after that when I have done my gym, I've put in some effort. So after I've put in some effort, then I give myself the permission to reap the reward. So for somebody else, it could be I do 3 hours of work. Let's say you have a pre-lunch time. Most of the people start their work at 9:30. So you can start at 9:30, work till 1 p.m. So you put in the effort. And as a appreciation, as a token of, oh, great job done for the time from 9 to 1, give yourself 15 minutes of reward in the form of digital media. That way the brain will work well. Otherwise the brain will be like, I get the salary on the first of the month, why will I work? So you get the reward first. Delaying is different. Instant and delayed gratification are different things. Here what I'm saying is, effort should precede reward. They're related. What you're saying is related.
But I do see your point. Like, you put in the effort so that you can reap the reward later.
You don't get the reward before you put in the effort.
Yes.
That's as simple as that. It's like somebody who's a bodybuilder, you will see most of these people, they will have a cheat day on Sunday when they've worked out for 6 days. They'll not be, I'll have a cheat day first and then I'll work out for 6 days. Then it doesn't work. Because once you get the reward, you want more of the reward. Then you'll be like, who'll do the effort? So it is a little hard, but you have to condition yourself that way. So
Absolutely.
2 to 3 hours of whatever work I want to do, or I consume a lot of social media content, but I do it on YouTube. So information based content. So once I've consumed that information based content in the morning, then I might do something in the afternoon, 10-15 minutes, which is just what one would call as time pass or pleasure based or reward system based, which really is not having any productivity.
This was a very, very good conversation with you, Dr. Sagar. I think I've learned so much, and I'm going to take that cup analogy and use it for my clients, if you don't mind. And I'm going to steal it from today's podcast.
You can send me a kickback on every patient that you see use that strategy.
Definitely. I think we'll talk about this after this podcast is done. But thank you so much. I had a very good time having this conversation with you. I think we have touched upon some really important topics. I hope people who are listening to us, it is beneficial for them. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so happy that as your organization name Samarpan is, you are, committed. Samarpan means committed. So I am so happy that you guys are committed to increasing mental health advocacy. And I hope that this 1 hour discussion creates more and more Samarpan amongst people who watch this podcast, to be digitally more aware. I wouldn't say leave digital medium, it's impossible. To be digitally more self-aware. That Samarpan, if it gets created, I think it would be amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.